place, to put this whole process into place. It really helped us in the lab and helped cadet assistants to see that to everything there is a process. It doesn't just magically happen. You know, I really enjoyed working with the flip cameras. I can see that they are very flexible, and you can take them along and can easily shoot at any location. I think that they would be wonderful to take on a study abroad trip, for example, because you can give students certain prompts or topics, and they could go out and film these video clips, and then come back, and most of them, even abroad, they take their laptop and can save them to the laptop, or something like that. Or I can see them, as we talked, I think right before the workshop, perhaps them being used during the short spring term at WNL, because again, you need time. I think what you've learned from this, I think, and what echoes way beyond what we're saying here, is that you need the time. The time for the content, the time for the pedagogy, the time for the technology. And I think on all sides, not just the two of us, or the instructor and the technology part, but also the cadets or the students. They need some time. I do like the ease of. I mean, you wouldn't want to necessarily shoot a very elaborate movie or anything like that. But I think that for a quick, 2, 3, 4 minute video clip, which especially I believe at the intermediate level is quite appropriate. It's easy to shoot on the video, it's easy to transfer it to the computer, and to do some very limited manipulation, editing of the video. Tell you, in a lab setting, it is difficult to control the environment, because you gotta, you have to overcome problems like, well, cadets can only save their files in certain locations. If you want them to save somewhere else, you have to, make a folder. You have to give them permission. They can have permission to write, but after a certain time, they need to be made invisible. I mean, you're working with a lot. Once after midterm, cadets were prompted to do their own converting. They had to either download any video converter to the computer, and every time they came back to the lab, let's say they had 4 videos in their folder. They converted, maybe they had enough time to convert one of them, okay? Well, the next time they came and they wanted to convert their video number 2 or 3 or 4, you had to start all over and download any video converter again, because we have deep freeze, this security thing, whatever, on all these computers. So you have to overcome it, or you have to think ahead of how am I going to get around the problem. Even now, if you're logged on, you will see the any video converter icon on the desktop, which eventually I did have to call IT and say, we need to have this on the computers. Sometimes that worked and sometimes you didn't. They had a new version of any video converter, whatever. So there are, it slowed them down. I think that's always good. Based on the prompt, I mean, if you give them a prompt and they need to, work on a review or something, they need to achieve the right tone. I think that's also a good exercise. And, I do like the fact that they can go back and critique their own performance and, watch as they get into 300 or the 400 level classes. And if these flip videos, are still there, and at some point we want to make them available to them, they can go back and say, wow, this is, I learned a lot. I've come a long way. And I think that is always encouraging and uplifting and motivating for a student. So I think that's what I have to say. It was a great experience. It was a lot of work. I loved it. I would do it again. You know, every time we come to a problem, it's fun to figure out the solution. How can you get around it? You know, here's a challenge that is presented, and you have challenges presented, you know, to you every day. And by working with cadet assistants, you know, that's another lesson that was learned. You don't just give up and say, well, I don't know. You know, you continue on and you get around the problem. So I think that's kind of what I have. I have some flip cameras. You're welcome to play with them for a little bit if you'd like. They're very easy. You know, stick them in your, you turn them on. You press the red button to record, and when you're finished, you press the red button again, you plop them in your USB port, and you go from there. And it's very easy. So thank you very much again. It's just been a pleasure to share all this, you know, good stuff that we did with you. Thanks.